Awesome. Perfect.
Brilliant. All right. So, welcome, Avario. How are you doing today?
Very well. Thank you very much, Austin.
Thank you.
How are
I'm
you?
good, thanks. Thank you so much for your time. It's always nice to speak
No
with
problem.
fellow SEOs. You're currently in SEO client side, and I always find it interesting to find out how people got into SEO. So to start off with, tell us how you got into SEO.
Cool. Well, that's a long story. I'm gonna try to make it short. But basically, I graduated on psychology and marketing. I started psychology back in 2010 in the University of Barcelona. And during my studies in psychology, I realized that I didn't want to be a psychologist. I said, why am I studying this degree if I don't want to become a psychologist? So in the second year of psychology, I decided to sign up for marketing and market research, another degree. And I said, well, I want to still do psychology because this is something that is interesting to me, but I don't want to focus all my life on the study of the brain and the human behavior and so on. I want to work on something technological, I would say. So that's why I enrolled on marketing. And when I finished both degrees, psychology and marketing, I didn't know what to do. I was completely lost. I was like 22 or 23 years old, and I asked for advice. So I called one of the business schools that they're offering master's degrees. And I said, look, my name is Alvaro. I just finished psychology and marketing, but I want to specialize because everyone says that it's good to be specialized in something specific. And I need your recommendation. I need your advice. I don't know what to do. What is your recommendation? And they said, go and sign up for the master degree on SEO, on search engine optimization. And I said, SEO, are you sure? Is this something that it's going to have some future?
Yeah, is this a thing?
And that was,
Yeah.
is this a thing, SEO? But this is just organizing the search results on Google and stuff. And he told me, no, this is much more. This is an acquisition channel. This is a major thing that will happen in all businesses because everyone will need to have their search engine results very well organized. Trust me, do this master's degree, you will have a job forever, with this master's degree. And that was in 2015. So that was my first contact with SEO. That was when I started. So I signed up for this master. I did the executive master on SEO. And I learned a lot in 1 year about SEO on page, SEO off page, technical SEO, link building, of course, and the internet in general, and that's how I started my first step on SEO.
Awesome. That's brilliant.
Austin,
It's funny how these days I think people can get into SEO by a university degree, right? Doing a master's or even a 3-year degree, right?
Absolutely.
I got into SEO almost by happenstance, if I think that's a term, that's a word. So at uni, I studied music technology, right? And started to spend so much of my time online. And I wanted to find something that I could do with music and also publishing online. I was real big about being online. This was during the mid to end years of MySpace, right? And one day I came across an ad that said earn money using MySpace. And of course I was on MySpace a lot, right? I clicked on it and that introduced me into affiliate marketing. And affiliate marketing then introduced me into the other areas of digital marketing, which of course led me to SEO. And there was something about SEO that really just gravitated me. So when you mentioned that you studied psychology and then got into SEO by recommendation, it just reminded me of how I got into SEO, because it's funny how SEO is one channel, or the one channel that everyone can get into via different means, whether you're marketing, whether you're psychology in your case, or even something completely opposite to marketing. Marketing and psychology, there is a link between the two of them. Are you interested in I came across a term which I found very interesting. IO psychology.
Neuromarketing?
Or neuromarketing, of course, but IO psychology. I am very interested in learning more about that. It's essentially industrial and organizational psychology, right? Looking into the way people interact in the workplace. And I always say to people, a lot of businesses do SEO, right? The one difference maker with all brands that do SEO is how well they can implement their recommendations. And I say that because a lot of the times clients might have recommendations from agencies, right? But they struggle to implement it. And that's because SEO in-house is not very integrated with other digital marketing channels. And because SEO is still relatively new, it's not the newest channel. Social is newer than SEO, but SEO is so different, right? It's hard to get people to grasp why they should invest in SEO, why they should even care about SEO. And because of that, you get a lot of pushback with SEO. Being client-side, do you experience that with the different teams that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, being client-side, I worked on an agency before working client-side, and I know a little bit both sides of the story. So being client-side, it's something absolutely, you need to understand what is going on with the company. You need to understand what is going on with other teams. You need to understand which are the acquisition channels that are most relevant for your business. And in terms of SEO, it's super important right now, especially in my industry, that it's a regulated industry. So when we're talking about regulated markets, I'm in the industry of the gambling, casino, sports betting, and games online. When you are talking on this specific industry, basically, you need to understand what is driving the most number of KPIs, the major number of FTDs, which in this case is our KPI, first-time depositors. And in this case, you can measure it. It's very simple. You need to track all the acquisition channels, and you need to understand which is the acquisition channel number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. And therefore, you can establish which is the relevancy that your acquisition channel has in the business. In our case, SEO is the second most important acquisition channel after direct traffic. So basically, most of the people is searching through branded traffic, through branded keywords, and the second most important way of discovering our websites are through SEO. So answering to the question, basically, it's first, tracking, second, measuring, and third, deciding based on the results, which is the most important acquisition channel, and therefore you can establish the relevancy and the importance of SEO.
Wow. So with the three pillars, on page, off page, and technical, do you focus on one area, or do you do all-round SEO?
So we focus on each of these areas with our company. We focus on SEO on page, SEO off page. We focus on on technical SEO, and we have departments for almost each of the areas. We have one SEO, the technical department, that is responsible for all the technical SEO, based in Vienna, and they are focused on only technical things like sitemaps, robots.txt, page speed, and so on. And then my responsibility is to make sure that everything, all the three pillars, are we are working with all these three pillars, all right? Then we do SEO on page. We organized our content on different footers that we have in the product pages and the blogs. And we also build links as well for our product pages as well.
Earn links for them. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. We do PR, we do campaigns, we and basically work this area as well.
So let's say non-SEO departments in any of the areas on page, off page, or technical. Do you think they view SEO in a favorable light, or do they not like SEO at all?
Nah, that's a good question. I mean, they don't dislike SEO. I mean, it's a channel. Like they don't have any reason of disliking it somehow. But obviously, there are some issues sometimes with other departments with the attribution model. So this attribution model basically means if I am doing a lot of advertising, a lot of PPC, for example, or social media and so on, and there is a user that it's firstly discovered through PPC, for example, but if finally converted through SEO, what is the right attribution for this final conversion? So now we do the final attribution last touch, which is you get the last attribution acquisition channel based on the conversions that you have, not based on the whole journey of the user on the internet, which is very difficult to track and very difficult to establish.
Yeah. So let's take SEO from a business level now. How would you suggest an operational team get buy-in from the business, from the board, from C-suite, for example, to invest in SEO? Because let's say from a board point of view, they might look at their analytics and see that they're already getting traffic from SEO, right? So they might say, why do we need to invest in SEO? We already have good SEO, so there is nothing to do with SEO. Our SEO is fine. So why should I, as a business owner, invest in SEO, even though I'm already getting traffic from SEO?
That's a very good question. SEO, as the same word stands for, is search engine optimization. So basically, there's always room for optimizing the search, the website for the search engines a little bit more. And for this extra optimization, even you are getting KPIs now from SEO, you can always do better. You can always do all these strategies and techniques that all the SEOs are using, like, for instance, crawl budget or page speed or on-page optimization and so on. This is something that you need someone hands-on working on that, working on the website and actually optimizing it in order to get results. So if you want to go to the next level, if you want to go to the extra mile, you definitely need to invest on SEO first, on people, always. People first, talent. And second, you need to invest on technology. You need to invest on tools. You need to invest on better CMS, on a better CMS if it's needed. You need to invest on, other resources like pre-render or rendering platforms if your website is fully loaded on JavaScript and so on. So basically you need to invest on technology, but first people, second technology. Because if you don't have the right people, how can you implement the right technology? You know what I mean? So, and then you need to invest on marketing inside SEO, which is, for instance, content or PR and so on. That's my point of view.
See, this is one of the reasons why I love SEO, because there's so much. It's so, it's very vast, right? Because you can have SEO throughout the different stages of a website growth. So you can start off doing SEO with developers, and all the way down to marketing to get more traffic. And the thing with what a lot of businesses might not realize about SEO is it stands for search engine optimization, right? And like you said, optimization, i.e. improvement, is the key term right there. And not only is it needed to improve, it's also needed to not regress. So if a brand is getting, let's say, I don't know, 100,000 visits a month, right?
Right.
The goal, of course, is to get 200,000, 300,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, right? But more importantly, is to not get less than that. And without someone doing SEO, without someone on hand, your SEO is almost just by chance. It's almost by just something that happened. Whereas if you need to actually grow it and maintain it and grow it, you need to have someone on hand to work on it. Now, in the industry, there is this rhetoric that SEO takes about 6 months to work. What's your view on how long it takes SEO to work, to show results?
Well, it depends. It depends on how competitive is the industry you are working on, in my opinion. It's not the same trying to rank for a new blog for the casino industry, which is super competitive, than ranking for super long tail keywords for another industry, let's say a very low competitive industry, on the internet. So if there is no competition for this particular group of keywords that you are trying to rank for, obviously you are going to rank super fast with the low competition. If you publish some article on your website and there is this really low competition and your website obviously has a little bit of authority, where probably this is something that we need to specify as well, which authority has your website on the topic you want to publish on. Let's say if your website is always understood by Google by a cluster, a topic, So if you are talking about football, but then suddenly you publish something related to healthcare, Google is not going to consider the healthcare article like something relevant, because it's not something that you have authority to publish on. So probably you will not rank very good for this article, But therefore, if you are talking about football and you are publishing long tail keywords about this topic, about football, this is what we're doing on Bwin, and we are trying to tackle this specific keyword of 10, 20, 30 search volume per month, very low competitive, and so on. We rank first, even almost the second day of just publishing the article for these keywords. So it's really fast, but it's because we have the authority. We have the blog, we have the topic already understood by Google that we are a news, football, sports news, betting website. So if you are on this group of keywords, you will rank very fast. But if you're building a new blog, brand new, and you want to build brand new authority, you are completely new for the industry, completely new for the internet. Google obviously needs to understand what is your blog about, and therefore it takes time. I don't know if it's 6 months, if it's 3 months, if it's 9 months. It depends, obviously. This is the major answer on SEO. It depends. Yeah. But obviously the context is this. This is the context. Google is an algorithm. Google is a bunch of algorithms. Google is AI. And obviously this is a machine that takes time to understand what is going on. So this is a little bit my point of view.
Yeah. So with a brand that is not quite ready to invest in SEO,
Yeah.
What would you say the cost to them would be if they did not invest in SEO?
The cost for
not investing in SEO.
For not investing on SEO.
Yeah.
Well, it's a huge cost, I would say. It's a huge missing opportunity. If you are a big brand or a small brand and you don't invest even a little bit on content on SEO, it's a huge missing opportunity. I'm going to put an example. I worked on 2015 for my first client, which is a lawyer in Spain. And as you know, there are plenty of lawyers everywhere, always in each country, in each city. There's a lot of competition for lawyers. So this lawyer didn't have any website, didn't have absolutely any presence on the internet, and we built up absolutely everything from scratch. We did everything, the website, social media, and so on. And this client obviously didn't have money to invest on anything. So I said, okay, you don't have money, I understand, but at least you have another lawyer who can write content, and this content could be translated into visits, and these visits can be translated into leads, and these leads can be translated into potential clients, and these potential clients to a client. So this is what he did. This is the strategy he started to follow in 2015, writing 2 articles per week of brand new content, original content, not super fancy, like made for humans. I said, don't write something for the search engine. Don't write something because the competitor has write it and so on. No. Write it for the person that lives in this borough in Barcelona and is searching for something related to a divorce, for example, or to something related to a lawyer topic, you know. And they did so. And in 5-6 years, they had to hire 2 more lawyers in the firm because they grow a lot thanks to SEO. Because they started getting visits and clicks organically every single month, every single day from the articles that they write. They had 0 authority, 0 link building, and 0 everything, just content. Just content in a very competitive industry, very competitive market. And what they did basically is ranking from the 10 pieces of content that they write, they rank very well for 2 or 3. But these 2 or 3 are bringing comments to the blog and bringing visits and so on. So this is a clear case of SEO, of success, and what's the opportunity that you are missing if you are not investing on content and if you are not investing on SEO. Yeah. That's the opportunity. You're missing out a whole business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You mentioned content. It's funny how these days a lot of people talk about content and they are aware of content. Content is king. That phrase is now known by the general public, right?
Right.
The thought of content or the idea of content has morphed over the years. So initially, content was considered just copy or text, right? And then there was this phrase, multimedia content, where you have, we have copy, we have images, we have videos. Now we have a vast array of content, right? How would you define content for people who are not entirely sure what content is? Because they hear it so often and they think content is just, let's say, 400 word article on a site. Is that the only type of content that there is, or is there more to content?
Of course, content is, in my opinion, basically one simple thing. It's an answer. An answer not to a question necessarily, because usually people don't write questions when you're searching something. It's an answer to a search intent, which basically means you need to guess what is people needing somehow when they are searching a keyword.
Right.
Just 2 or 3 keywords. So basically with these 2 or 3 keywords that the people is searching, for example, betting Barcelona, Real Madrid. So what's the user search intent for this keyword. Obviously, it's because the user is looking forward to place a bet, compare a bet, just see if there are other competitors that are offering different ways to put this bet, and so on. Probably you can have 5 or 6 different intents for the same keyword. It's not necessarily always one keyword, one answer, and that's why we have 10 different search engine results on the SERPs.
Right.
So basically, that's my reply. It's very straightforward. We have a user search intent, and your content needs to reply or needs to solve this user search intent.
And it's the key term right there is user, because as you mentioned earlier, SEO is for users. It's not for search engines. Writing for search engines wouldn't do you any good. I think with the helpful content update, algorithm updates, a lot of people are finding that out now. Although people are saying it so far hasn't been very impactful, but of course, it will be iterated as we go along. You mentioned, let's switch gears. You mentioned you've worked agency side as well as client side. Yeah. Which do you prefer? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, well, depending on your I would say, intention of life, depending on your situation of life. I am very happy with both, but each of them has its pros and its cons as well. The agency side, you work a lot, you work really hard for the client because you are looking forward to provide results to the projects that obviously you have sold to the client. So you work long hours, you have a lot of stress. But the positive side is that you learn fast and you learn a lot, which is amazing. So I would say agency side, you work a lot, but you also learn a lot. And in the client side, it's different. You also work, but you work from 9 to 5, not from 9 to 9, like in the agencies. You work a lot as well, but you are focused on details.
Right.
That's what matters in a basically client side. You are working for a big website, for big projects and so on, but you are with attention to details. That's the main difference. With the agency side, you are working more of the project. Not seeing if the robots.txt has the rule in number in the line 14, blah blah blah, But that's the main difference.
Yeah, and I guess client side, you get to really delve into the brand and also the industry that one is in.
Yeah,
which is always a benefit for SEO.
Exactly. Exactly.
When it comes to budgeting, SEO is considered the free channel, right? So besides having a budget for to hire individuals, SEOs, right? Why would a client need a budget for SEO, for SEO marketing, let's say? Let's phrase it as that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, writing content costs money. This is something that's number one. Content is not automated nowadays. Well, it is. You can automate content with AI nowadays, but obviously you don't want this for your own business, do you? Probably you want this for an automated affiliate website that you don't care if it gets penalized or not. But obviously, if you write automated content for your client, you are risking a lot of being penalized or having really bad performance, because Google is not silly, and in the end you can risk a lot. So basically, writing original good content cost money, and this is the most of where the investment should go on. And then the second, there is one practice that Google doesn't recommend, which is link building. But in some specific industries, it is needed. It is just needed. Like in the casino industry, it's essential. If you don't build links, you are not going to rank. It's very difficult because you need to build authority with all the companies that are doing exactly as much as they can in order to get good rankings and good results. And this costs money as well. And finally, the tools. The tools are also expensive. Some tools are worth 10 grand. So building a good setup of tools with good content and with good links, I would say this is the winning formula for a good SEO in-house.
So within digital marketing, I find that non-SEOs within digital marketing consider SEO to be the last stop before, let's say, a page is published on the site.
Right.
Where would you say SEO fits within digital marketing?
So SEO, in my opinion, is not necessarily the last stop. Sometimes, in my opinion, could be the first stop. Because when someone is searching for, let's say, to buy a new product or a new service, the first thing you do is to search on Google for that product or for that service before buying it. For example, if you are searching for a new mobile phone or for new furniture for your house, you are comparing, you are doing a little bit of analysis, always on Google. Then you can go on social media, you can see pictures on Pinterest, on Instagram, and so on. But in my opinion, the first thing someone does is always searching on Google. And the last thing that someone does as well is searching on Google. So in my opinion, there's in between other acquisition channels that you can always also use, like the CRM, getting emails, getting WhatsApp messages from the companies that many companies are using now, and so on. But basically SEO, in my opinion, it's one of the first and last things you do when acquiring a product. And once you have done the research, you have done everything, then you search for this product, you buy it, you will convert, or you can buy this product on the shop physically. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily have to purchase this product online. Or you can go to a different application, like you can go to Amazon on your mobile app, or you can go to AliExpress or a different e-commerce application and search specifically for this product and purchase it. But before that, there's been a whole research for generic keywords and long-tail keywords related to this or other products that in the end it will be purchased and it will be acquired from this direct way, I would say. Okay.
So, and that's key right there to mention that SEO is, again, very vast, right? It's not just at an endpoint. It can be throughout the entire life cycle. I always say, as long as you have a website, you need SEO because it's never ending. There's always improvements that can be made. And SEO is also not centered on Google. We say Google a lot because it's the biggest search engine globally and in most markets, but it's not just centered on Google. And in fact, a lot of people now have their eye on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Because there is a lot of concerns or maybe even chatter on the internet that TikTok may be a threat to Google's search because they now have a search functionality which they're promoting heavily on their app. Do you think TikTok can ever overtake Google?
No, I don't think so. No way. My answer is definitely no. And that's a very simple question. We have seen in the past another example very similar to TikTok, which is YouTube. Mm-hmm. YouTube is also video. YouTube has also shorts. And YouTube, it's the second most visited website in the world after Google. In my opinion, TikTok will grow a lot, will be super important, will be another acquisition channel, but will never be more than Google itself, because on Google you can search the information on all the ways you want. You can search on video, you can search on text, you can search images, you can search podcasts, you can search all the types of files that you can imagine. Everything is on Google. And if you compare that with YouTube or TikTok, you can only find the information in one format. One single format, which in this case, TikTok, it's short videos with a certain way of animation, very dynamic, and so on.
Yeah.
It's great for young people, especially. I think many teenagers now are doing the homeworks thanks to TikTok, for example, or learning thanks to TikTok. But in my opinion, it's gonna be like another social media we need to have for our business, and another platform more, but never more important than Google.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And as you mentioned, SEO is also impactful offline as well. So a lot of people could do their research online and then eventually go ahead and buy something offline. From a business point of view, what would you say would give a CEO or someone in the C-suite more confidence in SEO as a channel?
Good question, and this is something that I'm seeing right now. And I think the answer to this is one simple word, which is the market. If the market says that the people is on Google and people is converting on Google and not on other acquisition channels like display or social media, or even I would say the ads that you can see on Google as well. It's Google, but it's not technically SEO. Mm-hmm. So if the market says that everyone is purchasing and doing this acquisition path, let's say, through Google, I think the C-level will understand that it's something we need to invest and something we need to build in order to get all the attention of all these users. Otherwise, if they don't see that as something that you can control or something important, they will keep burning money on advertising, on non-targeted marketing channels like TV, like traditional marketing channels. Yeah. I would say.
I honestly don't think C-suites see them or understand the joy of seeing a site or page that you worked on ranking for a really difficult keywords that you worked your ass off to get to number one. And specifically number one, not necessarily featured snippets, but number one position. How does it feel for you when you see something that you've worked on climb up the rankings and or maintain that number one position? How does that make you feel?
Like when I see the website of Bwin, for example, in Germany, that is the most competitive market and the most important market for the company. And when I see all the keywords, I'm saying all the keywords because it's literally all the keywords that are relevant for the business in position one, I feel incredible. No, it's like, wow, that's amazing. How are we able to do that? You know, but then obviously everything, we are a team. Everything works. You know, as a team, like updating content, building links, improving the internal links of the website, and obviously this brand awareness that helps a lot. You know, you can accomplish great results. But it's true that usually no one is gonna say congratulations for that. You know, it's no one is gonna recognize your well. Actually, to be fair, the head of digital marketing, he did. He actually told me 2 weeks ago, Alvaro, great job, like very good. I see that you guys are doing a phenomenal job and stuff. But that's not common. That's
right.
not the common way. You know, usually you're gonna do your work. You're gonna do as much as you can, and no one is gonna notice. No one is gonna tell where is this good results coming from. You know, the people is gonna think this is something automatic.
It just happens.
It just happens. You know, and no one is behind. So we work in a little bit in the shadow, in the darkness. You know. But the people that understands SEO, people that understands the difficulty of ranking high on competitive keywords and so on, they do recognize your work, and they do say, well done, you know, when you are doing something positive.
Yeah. SEO is your superpower.
Exactly.
It's always nice when more people high up a business or leadership role are aware of SEO, because then they know, okay, we're ranking number one because of this department and the work that they continuously do. And it's not just something that happened because we have a website, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So SEO has evolved over the years. Sometimes it evolved.
A lot.
Yeah, that's an understatement, right? SEO has evolved. Where do you see SEO headed?
So that's a very good question. And the answer, I'm gonna think like Sundar Pichai, you know, the CEO of Google. If Google's business is thanks to one simple statement, which is providing the user what they're searching for, you need to protect that. You need to protect that from the other SEOs, some SEOs that are trying to understand how to perform very good results with spam, for example, or with low quality content. So, in my opinion, I see Google in 5 years' time or 3 years' time protecting the websites that are doing a really good job and that are working really well, following the guidelines, following the latest technology, and trying to build like a good reputation for years and so on, protecting these websites. And I see Google difficulting new websites with a purpose of just affiliation or spam or low quality content, difficulting these websites in order to rank easily. I mean, you will be able to rank, of course, if you have an affiliate business. But in my opinion, if you have an affiliate business nowadays, it's way more difficult to rank than if you have an affiliate website business 10 years ago. Way more difficult. Like I'm talking about a really big gap on the difficulty that you have 10 years ago, a decade ago, and nowadays. Nowadays, if you're building an affiliate website, it's not like building an affiliate website.
Right.
It's like building a business itself. Yeah. It's like, in my opinion, it's building something that you need to focus all your attention, all your time. It's not a second job site anymore. Mm-hmm. It's something that's full-time, and you need to build links. You need to really build a really good content. not automated content, of course, planify a very good SEO strategy before launching your website, and so on. So this is my opinion. It's gonna be difficult to get your website or your pages indexed on Google. Before that, it was very easy to get your website indexed on Google and your page or any page indexed on Google rankings. But nowadays, for my experience, it's difficult to get your pages indexed. Even if you're building good content, it takes days or even weeks to get indexed on Google your content. And I'm not talking about ranking for this content. That's a different story. But just to get indexed your content, exactly, that's really difficult. So that's how I see the long mid-term future.
SEO has absolutely evolved over the years. Sometimes it evolves. There's massive gaps, quarterly, sometimes even monthly, throughout the different algorithms. Either algorithms or updates of algorithms. Which one would you say has been the most impactful?
Probably Panda.
Right.
Maybe. So there are 3 or 4 that I would say that they're going to be that they had a really good or bad impact, depending how you see it. But I would say Panda first, then Hummingbird, then I think recently 3 years ago with BERT, and we'll see now with the helpful content update. But definitely when Google realized that there was an issue with the links, there was an issue with the spam, with all the people building links to their websites, and they realized that and decided to launch this algorithm, all the websites noticed that and suffered a lot. And tell me.
I was going to say Panda, Penguin, for me, are still my favorite 1-2 punch from Google.
Penguin, Panda, exactly. Penguin, Panda, I think that's in my opinion like before and after in the story of internet, of SEO. It's like before Christ and after Christ, but in the internet, you know. It's a little bit like this. So it changed the way you do SEO pretty much. But nowadays with these smaller algorithms, I think that's also relevant. And I noticed some changes with BERT, with the recent one, the helpful content update. I'm seeing some positive results in our websites. So would you say
helpful content update is an attack on someone's business? I mean, whenever there's an algorithm update, people look at it as an attack, right?
Absolutely, yes. And I think that's what I mentioned before. That's a total fight between the mouse and the cat, you know? There are many mouse which are SEOs trying to build affiliate websites or online projects that are against the cat, against the Google policies. And usually the cat just runs after the mouse. But sometimes the cat can catch the mouse. And this is what happens with each of these algorithms, you know? The mouse is playing, but suddenly Google attacks it and says, okay, your website penalized because you are using automated content, for example, based on AI. And if Google is able to see that, Google is able to recognize, I don't know how, but Google is able to recognize automated content, it gets penalized with this update. So Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said earlier, have your content for users, real users, actual people, human beings, not search engines.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. So, couple more things I have in mind very quickly as we wind down. What do you love about SEO?
Everything. It's my favorite profession.
Getting into SEO was the right decision then, going back to your uni.
I didn't know at all what was SEO. I was blind, absolutely. But nowadays, I can say that SEO, it's an amazing profession. I love it because, it's super relevant, but people still doesn't realize how relevant it is in somehow. And then it's a discipline that you learn everything. You learn web development, you learn a little bit of programming, just a little bit, obviously. You can be a programmer and be an SEO as well if you want. It's a profession that you touch content, which includes managing agencies, managing other journalists. It's a profession when you talk with many people. It's a profession you can do remotely. It's a profession that it's well paid nowadays. It's very well paid if you have enough experience. It's a profession that, I don't know, you don't have to deal with customers. That, in my opinion, I don't necessarily like it. And it's a profession that, in my opinion, gives me a lot of peace of mind, because you are in your house, working with your music, doing your stuff, ranking for your websites, and it's very chill. Can be a little bit lonely sometimes if you want a little bit of cons of this profession. Can be or could be a little bit lonely profession, but overall, that's why I love it.
And it's one you can do literally from wherever you are across the world. I mean the UK, London. Whereabout are you?
So I'm right now in Barcelona.
And we both do SEO. Different countries doing SEO.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
Absolutely.
For someone who, let's say they studied marketing at uni, how would you suggest they get into SEO?
Practicing with your own websites. That's what I would do. I would start building a website with WordPress, understanding how WordPress works, understanding what is a CMS, understanding first how to build your website on your own CMS with the framework you choose, doesn't matter. And then once you are able to build your own stuff, basic but able to build it, I would probably learn a programming language in 1 year. I would do Python, 100%, or JavaScript. That's the two learning paths that I would take if you want to be a technical SEO and you want to get a really good career path.
Completely agree, because that's for myself. That's how I started as well, learning, building my own website, and then taking it from there. I think that is the quickest way to show that you can do the job. You actually do the job, right?
Exactly. You do it, and you do it for yourself, which means you don't bother any client, or you don't, you practice with your own thing. So
absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Alvaro. Where can people find you? Are you online on social media?
I'm online. I'm LinkedIn with finding my name, Alvaro Fuentes. Or I have my personal website as well, lozanofuentes.com. There is basically my CV, and I want to start writing some articles about SEO when I have a little bit of free time, I will try to.
Free time, yeah. I'll
Exactly.
definitely be sure to link that below, so for people can who want to reach out
Thank you.
can do so to you.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm also on Twitter. So
what's your handle? Twitter handle?
It's Lozano Fuentes.
Okay.
As well. Yeah. Everything is Lozano Fuentes everywhere.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And
thank you, Austine.
Enjoy the rest of your day and also weekend.
You too. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure talking with you about this.
Yes, definitely. We'll definitely do it again whenever you want to. Just give me a shout. I can talk about SEO all day, and I'm sure you can as well.
Me too. Me too. It was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye now.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.